So hey y'all, I'm back with another video. So tonight's video is yet again another Chioma Chats video podcast edition. And by the title, we're going to be doing random opinions about random things. I know this is y'all's favorite and I know I've been gone, so I had to come back and bless y'all with some content. I just wanted to say before we get started that all of my music is back on all streaming platforms. I know a lot of y'all have been asking me trying to stream the music. Please make sure you guys go check out all 4 of the songs that I have out on streaming. And I've been working on new Afrobeats music. I want to put out an Afrobeats EP or Afrobeats Amapiano, just African music coming this summer. So I've been working on some new songs. I think you guys are really gonna like this, so just stay tuned for that. Now, as y'all know, this is random opinions. I have to say it so many times, but I lose subscribers every video on opinions, but it's okay. I get it. Sometimes people don't want to hear what other people have to say, but you clicked on this video. So I'll quit all this rambling, and without further ado, let's get right into this video. My first opinion is, as a lady, there's nothing wrong with depending, and I say that loosely, but depending on a man. There's nothing wrong with coexisting with your man and having some form of equal contribution to one another's lives. Social media has gassed up a lot of women to be bitter and single, and I've been seeing this for like the past 5+ years. I'm all for the boss girl energy. I'm all for women making a name for themselves. I'm all for women having their own, and you always should. But it's like, if you mention that you do good things for your man, such as pack him a lunch or split the bills or call him to ask his advice on certain decisions, a lot of women look at you like you're wrong. The gag is, a lot of women don't have a man and honestly can't keep a man. And sometimes maybe can't keep one because you're too deep in your masculine energy. And I understand the historical context of a lot of times women being left to fend for their families and their children's by themselves, but I want women to divest, okay? You deserve a good man. I feel like a woman should allow a man to exist in her life so that you don't have to tap into your masculine energy and handle things that maybe stereotypically a man is to do, or even if it's not all of that, allow someone to just be there to support you and assist you through life. There's a lot of Black women that feel like they have been forced to take on the role of mom and dad, or just man and woman, and now we see so much emphasis on, if a man isn't whining and dining and basically making you a stay-at-home wife or mom, he isn't worthy of being a part of your life. And that's just a weird rhetoric to put out to women, especially young women. I hate when I see posts that say like, I don't need a man for nothing, or a naker ain't never got to worry about blah blah blah, and it's like, no, you should definitely not want to carry on every burden or obstacle in your life. If you have the opportunity to have a healthy relationship and a partner, at the end of the day, relationships are 50-50 sometimes they're 80-20, sometimes they're 90-10, and I think there's a collective of Black women that have not been in healthy enough relationships to realize that having a partner can be beneficial if the relationship is healthy. My next opinion is the Keke Palmer situation with Usher, and then the situation with the girl who attended the Omah Lay concert is pretty much the same thing. The only reason why people drag the girl from the Omah Lay concert is because she did it in front of her boyfriend who was attending the concert with her, and Keke Palmer's man was at home. And I'm sorry y'all, but the hypocrisy that I saw with how people went in on that girl from the concert, which yes, she was dead wrong, but the justifications that people gave for Keke Palmer, who was also in a relationship, despite it being toxic and diabolical behind closed doors, was asinine. If you're in a relationship, there are boundaries that you just don't cross, regardless if you're famous, regardless if you make more or less than your boyfriend or husband, regardless if it's just a girls' night. It's like people really do pick and choose. I saw so much hypocrisy and I was like, wait, didn't Keke Palmer dance and grind and gyrate with Usher? And people were trying to find excuses as to why it wasn't that big of a deal. So why is it that the girl that went to the Omah Lay concert was crucified for the same behavior, which yes, it's a bit worse, but it's still the same behavior. I feel like at the end of the day, if you go to a concert or you go to a place where you are somewhat intimate or sexual or flirtatious with another person, knowing that you're in a relationship, that is wrong. It may not be defined as cheating to some people, but that is wrong. And the only reason why people tried to make excuses for Keke Palmer is because we don't like her baby daddy / ex-boyfriend. And the way how he brought the situation to the public was obviously disrespectful and very audacious, which is why he was called out. But had he said it in a different way or honestly said nothing at all, I wonder what excuses people would have given Keke Palmer for what she did. I feel as though you have to respect your relationship and there's no cutting corners. If this was the other way around and a man was doing that, a lot of women would not be happy. And I saw a lot of people lying in the comments saying that if your man was on stage with their favorite artist, it wouldn't bother you. And I feel like although we know that it's not a full-blown relationship, or there's not going to be anything amongst an artist and a concert goer after the concert, in that moment, it's still crazy to see how people's relationship titles and relationship respect go out of the window just because of your favorite singer or rapper. If you ask me, both ladies were one and the same, and I find it interesting how hypocritical people view the situation in particular. Now, before we move on, I would like to introduce today's video sponsor, which is Nurx. Check Check this out. Today's video is sponsored by Nurx. Nurx is a digital healthcare platform that makes it easier to get the expert healthcare that you need during every step of your journey. So it's like a multi-purpose online pharmacy for many of your healthcare needs. Nurx's licensed medical providers provide in-depth knowledge and expertise in a range of common health concerns, helping patients find the right treatments based on their preference and their health history. Now, as somebody that's dealt with skin issues, when I went on Nurx's website, I was actually very impressed by their dermatology provision. They have over 50 clinically proven, dermatologist-trusted treatments for acne, anti-aging, and melasma that work faster and are more effective than over-the-counter products. So your body's health is a very personal and important topic, and with Nurx, they want you to feel in control of your healthcare journey, presented with choices and options, and not overwhelmed by choices, but listened to, understood, and never pitied. And I feel like that's very important because oftentimes we go to the doctor and it can be very nerve-wracking just based on being timid or uninformed or other demographical prejudices that may exist. So Nurx is here to strengthen and support patients with specialty level care for women and recognize that everyone's healthcare journey is very unique. So I want to thank Nurx again for sponsoring this video. Taking control of your healthcare journey starts right now. So you all can go to nurx.com/Queen Chioma to get started, or you can click the link down below in my description box. That is nurx.com/QUEENCHIOMA. And also note that results may vary. It's not offered in every state. Medications are only prescribed if clinically appropriate, and a consultation is always needed. Thank you to Nurx for sponsoring this video. My next opinion is Natelie Nunn is not a baddie. And I think I've talked about this before, and I'm just going to say it again. I don't think this is an unpopular opinion. This is definitely something that I think a lot of us agree with. But it's not because her looks are questionable or she's over the top or that she's hanging on to old clout. It's because when you think about it, Natelie is just a narcissist businesswoman who knows exactly what she's doing and will eventually be called out for her wrong ways. Once people get over the smoke and the clouded vision of what Natelie Nunn is, and looking at the upcoming season of Baddie's Caribbeans, Natelie Nunn is definitely a few eggs short in a dozen, but she's definitely still smart. There was a part where Natelie prays amongst the group and then says, "Smack the out of the person next to you."
Everybody's silent. Bow your heads. We're gonna pray to the Baddie gods. Dear Baddie gods, everybody look to your neighbor and slap.
And I found it to be super hilarious, not because she's using prayer in vain, but the fact that she has this chokehold amongst grown women in order for them to act belligerent, violent, and outright ratchet. The fact that as soon as she did that, people looked to their left and to their right and then actually inflicted violence onto thy neighbor, and she sat there and laughed, that is not baddie material. Natelie Nunn has redefined what it means to be a baddie, and it's not just her. I'm not just gonna solely blame her. It's also society and social media. We now associate being a baddie with a certain aesthetic, and when you think about it, most of it is artificial beauty as well as artificial standards. People think being a baddie is going to the clubs, turning up, drinking, smoking, wearing 28mm lashes, fighting, getting a BBL, getting butt shots, getting implants, being ready to stand on business and fight, and I just don't see that being a baddie. Like, honestly, you're a ratchet. That's literally ratchet. Nonetheless, Natelie Nunn to me isn't a baddie. Natelie Nunn puts up a facade to put sugar on and makes people believe that her position in the hierarchy of reality television entertainment is attainable and admirable. But anyone with an iota of common sense can see that Natelie Nunn's whole play is to exploit and ego boost herself with these young, desperate women who are either trying to resurge their careers that have died out or start their careers in a way that the formula is set up for them to make a name for themselves. I mean, if I went on Baddies, all I know is I have to have one good fight, be cool enough, and look good enough to get recognition from the audience. That's the simple-minded formula, plus maybe some things behind closed doors, because it's definitely giving sex ring. But yeah, anyway, I don't see the Baddie in Natelie, let alone a lot of the girls on that show. My next opinion is Chloe Bailey's song FYS is fire, and I find it hypocritical how people nitpick her, and I don't understand how she's not getting the numbers and the viewership that I think she deserves. Let SZA had sang that song, y'all would eat it up, because people know SZA to be more seductive or more vulgar, even though I wouldn't say those words or direct synonyms to SZA, but I think more people can believe it when it comes to her. I just don't know what people don't like about Chloe Bailey. Like, I will agree that when she was exploring more of her sexuality in music, it was a bit off-putting because it didn't come off natural, and I feel like there is a way to to transition from child star to adult. However, that was years ago at this point. I feel like Chloe Bailey's talent is so enormous and it gets dwindled down to the same comments about her newfound sexuality. And yes, I did critique that. However, I feel like it is what it is now. That is the route that she wants to take, and I don't think her talent should be diminished because of that. It's not something we're all going to agree with. It's not something her original fans were expecting, but we always ask artists to evolve, and then when they do, people aren't satisfied. It's like a double-edged sword. I just wasn't feeling the comments that I saw on social media blogs in regards to her new song. Chloe Bailey is one of those artists who gives exactly what people asked for. She's not that problematic. She's very talented. She can act, sing, dance. She's never really in any real drama. And I feel like she should be the girl that people revere, but people don't. I think it's weird how we talk about believing in artists' authenticity, which I think is fair and something consumers should desire, but I don't think it always takes away from who an artist is. A lot of these artists have something to sell and a product or brand to maintain, and finding a happy medium with that is always going to be difficult, which is something I've realized from being an artist myself, but also covering these topics over the last few years too. Chloe Bailey, if you're listening, I think you're talented. I think you have what it takes to maintain a great presence in R&B, and I think people just aren't going to be satisfied because you can't please everyone. I like the song, I've downloaded it, and I'm gonna keep streaming. My next opinion is Russell Wilson is not a square. I think the young men of 2024 are either jealous or they just can't resonate with being a real naker, right? From Russell's athletic career to his position as a father and also a stepfather, there's nothing you can say about Russell Wilson, and I think it weirdly irritates a lot of men who can't live up to the man that Russell Wilson is. I have to question, would people have been happy had Ciara stayed with Future after the cheating, the lying, and so forth, and continued to have more babies by him, knowing what type of man Future is? Or can we respectfully champion the fact that she moved on to someone who is a man of God, a higher earning man with a very impressive football career, and someone who is more than willing to take her baggage, and I use that term loosely, and also be a stand-up guy while doing so? I hate this narrative that Russell is a square because men will say that a real man is supposed to do X, Y, and Z, but when you see it done firsthand, now they're associating him with being a lame or him disrespecting another man for the sake of fatherhood. It goes to show who didn't have a father. It goes to show whose fathers never supported them. It goes to show whose fathers were never in their life, because as a man, how can you have a problem with Russell Wilson on the role of dad when it comes to the man who is the biological father who doesn't do as much? Russell Wilson came into baby Future's life when he was only 7 months old, and if I'm not mistaken, he is the pappy. Future cannot be in 10 different houses at one time. He has a Noah's Ark full of children, like I always say, and it's not even healthy for a young boy to be raised by an absent father, especially a young black boy. But a man who decides to stand up and take that on and also respects the mother and made her a wife and also give her 3 additional children to complete their family structure is the one who gets called out and gets called names. One thing I like about Russell Wilson is that he's never addressed or gone back and forth with the internet about his position as a husband and a father. And I think it's because he's a man of God and he understands that his role is very key to the betterment of baby Future as well as Ciara. We don't hear them in scandal. We don't see them doing ghetto or ratchet activities. We don't equate them with bottom of the barrel activity like we do other men in his position. There are so many NFL players that have way worse reputations for how they deal with women and how they deal with their family structure. Tyreek Hill, 10 kids, 4 born in the same year. And of course we do bash them, but I just don't get why there's so much smoke for Russell Wilson. They want to hate Russell and Ciara. To me, they're one of the few couples in all of entertainment that remains positive and a decent example of love. We can't say that about Will and Jada. We can't say that about Gucci Mane and Keisha Kayor. We can't say that about Gabrielle Union and Dwayne Wade. I don't even think we could say that about Jay-Z and Beyonce. So I think the backlash that he gets from black men in particular is just projection. You're mad because nobody stepped up for you to be a father. You're mad that you don't possess the qualities and the maturity to take on the challenge of fatherhood, even if the baby doesn't biologically belong to you. And it's very telling who the real squares are. Russell Wilson came out and said that God told him to raise Ciara and Future's son as his own. He quotes, "Even Jesus himself, like Joseph, he was a stepdad." And this is from the Neighborhood Talk, and they say, "It's no secret when it comes to baby Future, Russell Wilson has definitely put in the work, love, and dedication to deserve the title as his dad." During an interview with I Am Athlete, Wilson says, "God told him to raise Ciara's son as his own. When I walked in the room and saw you, little Future, he's 9 months at the time or whatever, he crawls into my lap and it was like, this is going to be my responsibility," he explained. "I remember leaving that night and God saying to me, me, raising this child, it's going to be your responsibility. I prayed to God asking, are you sure this is what you want me to do? He said, son, this is for you. Russel says he was nervous, but ultimately realized that God hadn't given him the spirit of fear. Even Jesus himself, like Joseph, he was a stepdad, Wilson continued. I was like, okay, he wasn't biologically his, so okay, God, you're going to give me this opportunity to love the way that you were loved, the love that you want us to love. It's important to note that baby Future does have a biological father, rapper Future. He is believed to be in the studio preparing to diss Russel and Jesus' stepdad, Joseph. And that's hilarious. Honestly, if anybody is a square, it's the men that don't take responsibility to raise their children and take on the full extent of being a father. Literally, one of the first comments says, no, Naker, you was just Tinder. Now he's a laughingstock. And I'm not sure who's laughing at Russell Wilson. I'm commending him. I like the comment that said, here's the gag. Even if Future was a perfect dad, it's okay for Russell to be a great stepdad too. There are situations where the bonus and the original parent are equally great. The kid is doubly blessed. All in all, if you find any issue with Russell Wilson as a father to Future, it's because you ain't ish either. And it's because you never had a daddy. And it's because you could never do what Russell Wilson could do, and that eats you alive. Do better. He is not a square. My next opinion is, if you have a business and you sell a product or offer a service and your friends patronize you, there's absolutely nothing wrong with charging them full price. I don't even understand why this is a debate. I saw this video on Instagram talking about girls who charge their friends full price for beauty services and other different things, and I couldn't understand why this was even part of a discourse. Why the hell would I give a discount to a friend or family member and they're supposed to be supporting my business? Now, every once in a while, every so often, is it nice and have I done it? Of course. But to expect that because you're patronizing somebody that you know personally, that you now have some reason to not pay full price for something, that's kind of weird.
I don't. And the reason why I don't make my friends pay full price is because they're like walking billboards for me. Exactly. Like all of my friends that like wear my stuff, they gonna darn near take the phone and put the Instagram in it for you.
Got to ride or die.
Yeah, so I give my friends like a big discount. Like basically my friends all wear B-Fly.
My friends pay full price because when I go to their businesses or whatever, I pay full price. I tip. And I'm gonna still post. If we friends, like I'm gonna just support. I mean, I might throw them something extra in there, but
that's sweet.
Yeah.
Same with me. My friends do pay, but then I'm gonna support my friends.
Right, exactly.
That's right.
I feel like friends are the biggest supporters.
Yeah.
And we gonna support, tip, do all that, promote everything. We gonna do all that for our friends.
Right.
I remember I was bartending. You came out and saw me. And
sure
you bought
did.
A drink and stuff. You sure
did. Full price, didn't
You did. That drink was $30. I'm like, thank you, friend.
I usually get my wigs installed by my girl Joyce. She's one of my friends. And I did post a little TikTok. Here it is. And if y'all want to watch the full thing, definitely head over to my TikTok. But I paid her full price to install my wig. And I feel like investing in your friend's business is definitely a good thing to do and something nobody should question. I would never want to feel that people are owed special treatment because they know me. And again, I don't feel like there's anything wrong with every once in a blue moon offering some type of discount or maybe swapping services if you provide a service or a product as well. But I couldn't believe that there were some women who feel as though that if you know somebody, you don't have to pay them full price. How are they supposed to make booth rent? How are they supposed to fulfill their other financial needs when you're coming in entitled thinking that you don't need to pay them in full? Now, I think when it comes to offering a tip, that's different. That's definitely not a requirement and it's not a necessity. And I hate how tipping culture has become so common with service providers. I literally can be going to get a protein shake and there's a tip jar at the counter. Hell, I even think there was one at Planet Fitness. And I'm just like, why the hell am I giving y'all a tip when I'm paying a monthly subscription to be here? But that's different. Nonetheless, people should definitely not feel that they deserve some type of discount just because they are friends or family with the service provider. Y'all wouldn't want to be tried like that, so stop trying your people like that. My next opinion is, I feel like Kelsey Nicole, who's the ex-friend of Megan Thee Stallion, did have a right to tell her version of events or how this entire thing made her feel. I do agree that it's weird that she didn't want to say anything in court. She took immunity for her testimony and she didn't really say much on the stand either, let alone all this while. So when she did that podcast show and she was expressing how she felt about things, I do see why people thought it was off-putting. But from the clips that I saw, I don't think she really spoke on that night in regards to the criminal action. I think she spoke on her and Meg's friendship, their fallout, and just the overall timeline from the beginning to the end. And I feel like she has the right to do that. There were people in the comment section saying that it's weird that Kelsey put out a diss track and now she wants to talk about this on a podcast, when we all know that Megan Thee Stallion put out a diss track first. Megan is not the cleanest person when it comes to any of these relationships with people, and that has been proven time and time again. I still like Megan Thee Stallion. I feel like her latest projects have been very good, and I think that she's a very talented artist whose presence in female rap is so needed, and I just like her. But at at the end of the day, I can be unbiased enough to say that her personal life and the way that she's dealt with people hasn't been the best. And Kelsey, at the end of the day, was one of the people who got done wrong in all of this. And I feel like Kelsey's voice in talking about what has happened to her over time is fair because she hasn't really said much all of this while. She made a few comments here and there. She's been in a few comment sections as well, but she hasn't formally said anything. So to see her on that podcast interview, I anticipated it, and I felt like she did have the right to tell what she felt. The same way Megan did. Megan has made 2 songs now that reference people in the industry, the backlash she's received since the whole case, and much more. But Kelsey is the one that receives backlash for also saying how she feels. I think people need to stop deriding, honestly. Like literally, it's annoying to see how people are so picky, choosy, and so biased. Everyone has bias, like I've said, even myself, but you have to know when to turn it on and off because you can't pick and choose what actions people are allowed to do just because they're your fave. Nonetheless, I didn't really care to watch the entire interview because, to be honest, this situation happened in 2020. It's 4 years later. Y'all should have been spoke up, but from the clips that I saw floating around on social media, I don't think Kelsey necessarily said anything wrong or disrespectful. I do feel like she had the right to say how she felt about certain things, and again, for the umpteenth time, I hope they wrap this joint up because we are tired. My next opinion is Jess Hilarios doesn't really fit the Breakfast Club. I don't really have much to say on this one other than when I watched the Candace Owens interview on the Breakfast Club, which was a pretty good interview, but when I look at it now, I did hear a few other commentators talk about it as well as did a little bit more research. I definitely see that Candace Owens was pandering, and I do think Candace is a very intellectual person and she knows the right trigger words to use, but she definitely has a very bad history of throwing Black people under the bus. But I will say her interview was great and very convincing, so I'll just say that. But anyway, while I was listening to that, I literally forgot that Jess Hilarios was on the Breakfast Club. I watched the entire interview, and maybe it's because the camera optics were solely on Candace's face and then bits of Charlemagne, but then like halfway through I just heard Jess Hilarios' voice and I was like, oh, I forgot that she's even part of this show. I think she's a good personality with her comedy and her accent and her witty behavior. And I hate to say this about another Black woman, but I don't think she has the range to discuss certain topics because it doesn't seem like she's interested in them, let alone adds to the conversation. I know she's now an official Breakfast Club host, and I do like that she was hired for the Breakfast Club, but I feel like they should add another female host that is kind of her opposite. I feel like Charlemagne and DJ Envy kind of work hand in hand. Charlemagne, even though I don't really care for him as an individual, he does possess the skills to carry out these conversations most of the time, whether they are serious or entertaining, and DJ Envy does the same, but I just feel like Jess Hilarios doesn't have the overall range to do so. Who do y'all think could essentially be added on? Because I don't want her to be fired or anything like that, but I feel like there should be another female host that can add to the conversations, especially the ones that aren't just about entertainment. My last opinion is Rihanna condemning showing off her body now that she's a mom is understandable. I do think there are a lot of mothers who don't really engage in the same behavior or the same showmanship that they did when they were single or didn't have kids, but I do find it also very hypocritical if we're being honest. I remember when I talked about Rihanna's outfit that she wore back in 2014, which was like a really naked dress with crystals all over it, and she looked great, she always does, but I just didn't understand the purpose of blatantly showing her nipples at a public event. And I get it, the dress was inspired by Josephine Baker, it was kind of like this old Hollywood type of style, but I will never promote this image. Like, showing your private parts to the public is just something I will never ever promote. I don't care how much I like your music, your entertainment, or whatever it may be. I may like you as a person, I may not, I might like your art, I may not, but that imagery I just can't wrap my head around. So Rihanna recently commented on some of her past fashion choices. This is probably her being accountable and realizing that one day her children will see this and understanding why having to show off your cash and prizes really doesn't serve purpose no matter how fashionable you are.
My nipples out, I have my panties out. It's gonna sound hypocritical, but shit. Because I did so much shit in my life as a mom and like an evolved young lady. Young, emphasis on young. There's just things that I just feel like I would never do, or I'm just like, oh my God, I really did that?
This is not a dig at being sexy because I don't think this is actually sexy. She makes it look sexy, but the overall concept, whether it's on her or someone who is less appealing, still isn't sexy. It's raunchy, that's what it is. But I do think it's hypocritical, but I'm glad she did take accountability for this because at the end of the day, we do grow and learn from past choices. Hell, y'all saw my outfit for the live performance music video that I did for my song Ballin', and although that was something that really wasn't wasn't supposed to happen. That was never my intent. And I really should have done a fitting to make sure I wasn't too exposed. I still look back and just say, I wish I would have just put on a t-shirt and some jeans and did what I had to do. So I get it. But yet and still, I do understand looking back and thinking otherwise about things. I find it interesting that Rihanna would essentially condemn people who dress like this who are mothers, because I do think it pushes this narrative that moms can't exist in their sex appeal after having a kid. But I think she's only saying that because it's obvious that she did cross the line with a lot of different things that she wore. This wasn't sex appeal. She looked good, but the concept was definitely a no. So that is it for this video. I hope you all enjoyed. Please let me know your commentary on my commentary down below. What do you think? What do you know? Let me know. Please don't get your panties in a bunch. Just a reminder to check out our sponsor, Nurx. Check the pinned comment down below for information, especially for women who are trying to take control of their healthcare journeys. Nurx is a great platform for women who want to get a handle on their medical health, so definitely check them out. All of their information is down below. Also, remember, all of my music is now back on streaming platforms, so if you haven't been streaming or you've been waiting, definitely head over to Apple Music, Spotify, or wherever you may stream me and check me out again. And as always, last but not least, don't forget to follow me on all of my social media networks, and I will see y'all in my next video. Bye, y'all.
Always got a secret plan, I don't do the fighting. Shorty is a secret fan, yeah, she ghost riding. Brown skin beauty with a booty showtime. Go off on a tangent, I don't need a cosign. 12 baddies with me, they are cheap about a dozen. Hot girl straight up out the microwave oven. Gotta bring a chicken, man, before you get the stuffing. And this beat going crazy, snapping on percussion. Chioma at the top, I'm the #1 prospect. Beat from Lakia when she slid on Cosmic. Told him come here, boo, I'm tryna make your jaw stiff. I got no pics, but I wanna see your pockets. Big glossy lips, trying them out like a faucet. Speak chickenese, so I put them in a cockpit. Cooking in the studio, call me Betty Crockett. Gingerbread baby running fast like Sonic. It's commendable, was a ceremony, but now it's a festival. New money now, so you gotta move a decimal. Presidential suite, and it's looking all congressional. I'm so delectable, pull your queen card, cause mine is a collectible. Better mind your business and stay off my genitals. Probably make them high, cause my body's like an edible. Wait, let me stop, cause I'm trying to be professional. Damn. I know that's what y'all said when you heard that verse. I know, right? Y'all was like, damn. Respectfully though, we on Victoria Island.